Hello, I'm Donald Leggett. Welcome to the latest focusIR CEO interview. I'm joined today by Paul Baay, and he is President and CEO at Touchstone Exploration, the leading Trinidadian oil and gas producer and explorer. They're listed on both AIM and the TSX. Touchstone has a market cap of around £148 million today, and Paul's here to explain how the company's production profile is set to expand over the next 5 years. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks for having me today, Donald. Really appreciate it.
Great. I understand you had a capital markets day today, so you've already been very busy.
We have. We unveiled our 5-year plan today, as well as a new presentation that we had, sort of explaining that and outlining it. So it was great. It was there's a lot of people there that have been following the story for quite some time. So it was really nice to be able to kind of lay it out in front of everybody and give them a clear view of where we're going.
Okay, I'm sure they were delighted to hear the news on Cascadura. You've got Cascadura on stream, and within a week it's delivering 60 million cubic feet, which in itself is quite a technical achievement. So well done. And how does that underpin the business going forwards?
Yeah, I think you're right. It has been a huge achievement. I mean, it's one of the biggest onshore adds in production in probably the last 20 years. For what it did. And so it's big from that point of view. It obviously takes our production north of 10,000 BOEs a day, sort of puts us in a different category. But the real win is the cash that it generates. At those kind of rates, and you say 60 million a day, there's also about 1,400 barrels a day of oil that comes with that at the same time. So it's a big production add. It's about $4 million a month of net cash flow. Just give you an idea of how that changes. Like last year, our cash flow for the year was $4 million. So, we're doing in a month what we did in the entire year last year. So the step change here is pretty dramatic. And really what that does is that's going to allow us to fully fund our program, our drilling program, our expansion plans as we go forward.
Okay. You've taken us to the next question. Drilling plans, expansion plans going forwards. What's the near-term development program? Where are you gonna spend your money? Tell us all.
Yeah, so the real focus, this is part of that longer-term plan, sort of the front end of the 5-year plan. We've now built these 2 gas plants, one at Coho that's capable of 24 million a day. It came on in last October. And then the plant that we just brought at Cascadura, which is really available for 200 million cubic feet a day. The development plans, the drilling plans now are just to fill up those 2 plants. That's really the simple plan. So we're going to drill a bunch of wells around there. You ask what the drilling plans are. The initial one will be a couple of development wells at Cascadura. Those will be the first ones that get drilled. And then we also have a couple of wells at Coho that we're going to drill. So the first ones are development, and really that's just increase the cash flow for us.
Okay, that all makes perfect sense. And in terms of what comes next, what's the next piece of news we could expect from Touchstone? It's pretty exciting times for you.
Yeah, I think probably the next piece of news that's going to come is going to be the start of the development drilling program, as well as the signing of the licenses. We continue to add to that footprint that we've got in Trinidad. And we were successful on one of the onshore bid rounds, or the onshore bid round. We got one block called Sapero that we got notified of, and then there's a second block, Chiruma, that we've been negotiating with the government. It looks like we've come to terms with them on that. So we'll get those both signed up. And really, those are for sort of year 3, 4, and 5 of the 5-year plan. We do the development drilling, ramp everything up, and then we start to move on to these new lands in years 3, 4, and 5. So that'll probably be the short term. Will be the start of the development drilling and the signing of the licenses.
And those exploration licenses, do those excite you? Are they prospective, do you think?
Yeah, they really are sort of have individual attributes depending on what license. The Sapero license is probably the one we all like the most, in that it sits just north of our Oratoile block and just north of Cascadura. We look at it from a geophysical point of view and where it sits geologically. It's probably the most exciting look-alike to Cascadura that we have in our portfolio. It can be tied either into Coho or to Cascadura, so it can be brought on stream in a relatively short period of time. So that one's exciting in that it's a bit of a look-alike, although it's exploration, a bit of a look-alike. The Chiruma block is different. It's really targeting a different play, which is a Cretaceous play, which is what they're drilling up in Guyana and Suriname offshore. And what it does is it gives us an opportunity to test our concept for the Cretaceous at a fairly shallow depth of about 7,000 feet. The Cretaceous is usually around 14,000 feet. So it'll be a cheap shot to prove a theory at what we think of the Cretaceous to the north. And I got to be honest with you, I really like this. This is a block that previous companies have been in the country and wanted to drill, and they just haven't got around to it. And
They perhaps haven't had the wherewithal that you now have.
I think it's partly the wherewithal. We brought our own rig, not our own rig, but we brought a third-party rig into the country that's capable of drilling these kind of wells. So having the equipment, and quite frankly, we've drilled 70 wells in Trinidad now, so we're probably as knowledgeable as anybody on how to drill these. So we do have a little bit of a competitive advantage.
Indeed. Okay, we've mentioned today's capital market. It's all about the future, and I believe you told us it's a 5-year plan. Quite Soviet a 5-year plan, I have to say. But where does 5 years take you? I mean, that's quite a long time in the oil and gas business.
Yeah, I think we look at Touchstone, and there's sort of a lot of people kind of look at us as being success over a short period of time. Well, we've been at this for 13 years. So, the last 3 and 4 have obviously been really exciting for us. But things take longer internationally, and that's why, you can lay out this 5-year plan. We got development drilling on the front end of the plan. Then we start to get into a little bit more exploration, and as we continue to grow. But the where that takes us to, and I think it's probably the two things that jumped out at people today, is we think we can add another 20,000 BOEs a day from where we are today. And one of the targets that we want to do is we'd really like to get to a size where we could get onto the 250 and get onto the main board here in London, and that would be our two big objectives.
So becoming a mid-cap.
Yeah, I guess that's come from being an emerging cap to a mid cap.
Wow, sounds good to me. You're coming from a solid financial base, so it's not such a daft question to ask you about acquisitions, I don't think, given that you've got $4 million a month net coming in. Are you looking at other possibilities?
Yeah, I think there's lots of ways to add to our footprint, and we kind of look at acquisitions as both the kind of things we did at the onshore bid round. There are a few little private companies that we can do some deals with. There's some other acreage that we can do some deals with. We're now the largest onshore independent producer besides the Crown Corporation Heritage. So any deals that we would do from here are really what I would refer to as tuck-in type deals, add-on type deals. So yeah, there's some things for us to do, and we're definitely going to ramp that up a little bit. Now that we've got the cash flow to do that. I should mention, that cash flow that we've got, although it's $4 million. We've got a pretty aggressive drilling program, right? So a lot of that's going to go to the drilling program once we get started.
A lot of those funds have already been earmarked for good use.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, my final question to you, Paul. Why should investors consider investing in Touchstone Exploration at this point in the development cycle? Why now?
Yeah, I think that's really, that's one of the key things about what we talked about today. Like, the company's changed, right? It used to be this exploration company where you wanted us to hit on these big exploratory wells. And what it is now is we've got this stable base of production. So you've got this base cash flow, this predictable cash flow. And then layered on top of that, I think you've got some of, the most exciting exploration stuff that I've seen, whether it be additional Cascaduras or looking for the Cretaceous in here. So, I think what we've done in a lot of cases is lowered the downside risk, of being a pure exploration company, but still given everybody and as shareholders, they got all the potential, the upside benefit of the exploration successes. And on top of that, it's fully funded. So, we're not going to have to run around and raise money on a well-by-well basis as we drill this program. So there's, the Cascadura coming on has just totally changed the makeup of the company.
Transformational is a much overused word, but it does sound as though it's transformational.
Yeah, I think our CFO refers to it as an inflection point, right? And I think that's a good way to put it as well.
Yeah, it is indeed. Paul Baay, President and CEO at Touchstone Exploration, that's ticker TXP. Thank you very much indeed for that operational update. That was terrific. Really very interesting company. Thank you so much. For more company information and to access the company bulletin board, please go to the Touchstone pages on London South East. And meanwhile, do follow us on Twitter. That's at London South East, and also the new IR consultancy at _focusIR_, or register on London South East YouTube to receive alerts to our next Touchstone interview. Thank you very much indeed for watching.